谢谢凤凰卫视的记者，我们关注到有媒体报道说，有关的中国企业已经开始了新的对美国农产品的采购，并且正在申请排除对这部分产品加购的关税。请发言人能否透露相关的情况，包括这次采购的具体的规模和种类？这是否也将会成为中美重启磋商的条件之一？
谢谢你的提问。
Thank you.
根据我们的了解。
Based on our knowledge, to better facilitate the need of the Chinese market, some Chinese companies are willing to import US-made agricultural products and have already inquired the prices and the quotations and moving on to signing agreements. So the procurement is made based on the rules of the market and based on the willingness of the companies. So the resume of the trade talk has nothing to do with the procurement. It's the consensus made by the leaders of two sides. Thank you. Next, please. Thank you. I'm with CNBC. My question is regarding the trade talk. Has there been any process and progress? Are the leaders of the two sides going to meet next week? And questions regarding Huawei and other high-tech companies from China. Regarding those questions, will there be any further effect, influences, and will that be included in the talk? And about MOFCOM, regarding the high-level quality development, what's MOFCOM's view on that? And the entity list, when will that list be released? And last question is that China is meeting with UAE. Could you tell us about what are the progress of the trade and the business between China and the UAE? Thank you for your question. Regarding the first question, to implement the consensus made during the Osaka summit, the two sides, leaders of the sides, will meet during the 30th to the 31st in July in Shanghai. On the basis of equality and mutual respect, we will hold the 12th round of high-level trade talk between China and the US. And regarding Huawei, China's position is consistent and the same as always. We urge the US to carry out the promises to stop using the political measures to tackle down a Chinese enterprise. And for your question regarding the manufacturing side, for this year, the manufacturing industry has been doing well in China and moving forward. We're at steady basis. Based on the statistics we have, in the first half of this year, the year-on-year growth has been on 70%, and high-tech has been making a progress, a growth rate of 7 points, and being on the lead of manufacturing industry. Pertaining to export, because of the upgrades of manufacturing, we have seen the upgrade of export, new tech, automobile and high-tech and high-value added export has been growing, including products like medical devices. So I'd like to stress that no matter how the external environment changes, the high level and high upgrading of the Chinese manufacturing industry is on the right track and is moving forward. Pertaining to the entity list, and we're still working on that. The unreliable entity list will be released soon when it's ready. So I think the last question is about China and the UAE, is it? So pertaining to the trade and the business between China and the UAE, in the recent years, under the leadership of these two sides, we have seen faster progress between the two sides, and we have entered the best stage of all time, and China has become the largest trade partner with the UAE, and China has become the number one export. UAE has become China's number one exporter in the Arabic area. In 2010, the growth has been maintained at 12.1%, and the trade in the first half of this year has made a trade volume of 26 billion, and we have seen a growth of 9%. China has been the largest investment in construction and infrastructure in UAE. By the end of the first 6 months of this year, the direct investment to UAE of China has reached 5.9 billion USD, and investment to China has reached 1.2 billion US dollar, and direct investment of China to the UAE has increased 12.7%. And we have also seen increase in other areas. UAE's direct investment in China has been grown as well. In the next step, we'd like to work hand in hand with the UAE based on the agreements made by the two sides. We will do our best to move forward to carry out the plans under the Belt and Road initiatives and take on the advantages of the China-Arabic Expo and the CIIC to improve the free trade zone, and especially in areas like energy, resources, and infrastructure, finance, and innovative areas, as well as a third-party market. We hope that the business and the trade of the two sides will move on to an upgraded level. I'd like to ask that for the trade talk this time, why did we select Shanghai as the destination instead of Beijing? So did China choose this arena or the US? So another question is that 35 US companies asked to relieve the sanction on Huawei that has been submitted to the Ministry of Finance in the US. So the Ministry of Finance of the US has promised to solve this in a few weeks. What's the view of China on this issue? And regarding Huawei to be removed from the Entity List, is that an important focus of this talk? Whether this will be an issue or removed from the Entity List, will this be an obstacle on the trade talk list? Pertaining to your first question, the destination of the change of the destination for the trade talk is a common choice, and it's a natural choice of changes. And pertaining to Huawei, we urge that the US side to carry out the promises and honor its promises. So next question, please. The gentleman in the last row, please.
Thank you, from Bloomberg. First, could you provide some details about the role that Zhongshan will play in the Shanghai talks? Will it be a more prominent one than previously? And if I could, secondly, just following up on agriculture, we understand that China will buy soybeans from the US free of retaliatory tariffs. Wondering if you can confirm that, and what other US farm products will you exempt from retaliatory tariffs going forward?
您好，我们首先是想问一下，关于钟部长在此次上海的磋商中将会扮演一个什么样的角色？是不是比以前所担任的角色更加的突出？然后第二个问题呢，是对刚才的农业采购问题的一个就是想跟您再更了解一下细节，就是是不是中国会给这些农产品的进口商免去一些进口的这个关税？然后呢，我们了解到那个大豆是可以免除这个关税的，不知道是不是还有其他的农产品也会免除这个关税？谢谢。
Thank you for your question. Regarding your first question about the discussion, if we have further or details will be released to the public. Regarding the second question, I have already responded to your question. China has a great potential for the need of quality agricultural products. Based on our knowledge, some Chinese enterprises are willing to import US-made agricultural products, and based on the market rules, they have already sought for quotation and proceeded to sign agreements. About the tariffs, the tariffs Department of the State Council will be following the relevant rules and work on how the tariffs should be levied on US imported products and organize experts to work on the application to reduce the tariffs. Thank you. I'm with China News Service. As you talked about to reducing the tariffs on imported US products, could you tell us about what the details? Thank you for your question. As we talked about, the Commission will be following relevant rules to work on the exclusion of additional tariffs for those companies who are importing products from the US. And they will also organize experts to evaluate the situation. Thank you.
I am with CNR. We've got notice that the DIJ's partnership has been severed with the US, and will the government take any measures to support Chinese company? We have noticed the coverage. Based on our knowledge, the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the US, after 15 months of evaluation, has released the information on the 12th of July. Based on that conclusion, that they believe that DJI's technology can help to reduce risks, and the alleged accusation of the US companies are based on no ground. Some people in the US have been following unreasonable issues to try to tackle Chinese companies. The result will be only the harm left on their own companies and their own interest. Chinese government always requests the Chinese companies to follow the international rules and abide by the laws of the targeting country. We support Chinese companies based on the rules and principles of equality and mutual benefits to work along with foreign companies. Thank you, Mr. Gao.
中央广播电视总台央视新闻记者提问：美国司法委员会副主席柯林斯日前点评阿里巴巴。之前美国一直说中国不重视知识产权，但这次史无前例的点赞中国公司，称美国的平台打假远远落后于阿里巴巴。请问发言人如何看待这个问题？另外，近日有美国智库数据显示，自特朗普上任以来，中国投资已大幅下降约90%。中方对此有何评论？有报道称，数据增强了对中美经济开始脱钩的担忧。
And the next question is regarding other comments. And could you give more details and the response from Ofcom? Pertaining to the first question, it fully shows that China's progress has been made on significant progress has been made on protection of intellectual property. And for your second question, in the first half of 2019, pertaining to non-financial related investment to the US has reached $600 million with a decrease of 20%. And we have seen investment from China to the US being declining since last year. Because of some so-called security issue, the US side has increased the barriers and screening and areas of inspection on Chinese companies who are going to invest in the US, and objectively and subjectively limited the areas and aspects of Chinese investors. And with the abuse of political measures, they restricted the Chinese companies' investment and legal investment and confidence in the US. The US has been multiple times expressed their gratitude and welcome to include Chinese investors. We believe these shall not be just these words shall be honored as well. The investment coming from China is the same as investment coming from other countries. We all follow the international rules and conventions as well as market rules. Based on equality and fair trade, we pursued profit. We hope that the US would give no bias to Chinese companies and offer a fair playing ground and more transparency and proper procedure of investigation and assessment for Chinese investors to provide a legal and stable and predictable environment for Chinese investors. About China and the US business economy, I'd like to stress that the so-called the link decouple between China and the US economy is derailed from the economy rules and the law of economy. And it's also on a different direction of benefiting the people of the two sides, which will also leave negative impact on the world economy. After the 40 years after China and the US established the political and diplomatic ties, the two sides have been benefiting from peaceful economic exchanges. To decouple from China or decouple from the US is beyond the imagination. It's also not expected for us all to see. We hope that people like that will give up on this zero-sum notion to give a fair playground and a beneficial opportunity for the people of the two sides.
发言人好，央视4套记者提问。
美国
国会共和党参议员近日提出法案，要阻止华为购买或出售美国专利。这是美国国会针对华为采取的最新行动，请商务对此
the US they have been trying to give impose new laws to restrict Huawei's procurement in the US. We have noticed that the senators in the US have put forward new bills to protect the intellectual property of Huawei. We feel sorry and regret to hear this news. If US, on one hand, would like to ask China to increase the enforcement on protection of intellectual property of US companies, as well at the same time to not offer proper protection of Chinese companies. This is contradictory to its rule and double standard. We hope this would not go on any further.
发言人您好，第一财经日报记者提问
：RCEP
是否能够在今年年内完成谈判？目前的难点和重点是什么？谢谢。
First, finance, and can we finish RCEP? And what's the obstacles right now we're facing? Thank you for your question. So far, RCEP talk has been making progress pertaining to cargo, goods, investment, and services. On these three major areas, we have been making accelerated progress, and we've also pushing forward the paperwork. So far, the RCEP, the different sides of RCEP have been showing really positive attitude and commitment to this to accomplish in this agreement. And at the recent meeting of ASEAN countries, and the ASEAN leaders also showed a commitment to finish this round of talk within 2019. And then this meeting is carried on in Zhengzhou, and in August we will see ministerial level in Beijing. China is happy and ready to work with all the parties to solve remaining issues, to try our best to conclude the meeting and the discussion. Next question, please. Thank you. I'm with Hong Kong Radio. My question, just to follow up with a trade talk in Shanghai, the U.S. Minister of Finance said the reason why they chose to have this meeting in Shanghai is China's hospitality. Is that so? And we believe that before an agreement made, there will be a few talks leading up to it. And they also would like to have the next meeting in Washington. What's the view from the Chinese side? Thank you for your question. I have actually responded to this question. The change of destination is very commonplace. And Shanghai is ready to hold such a meeting. And for the next meeting, if there's any further details, will be released to the public. Thank you. I am with the Global Times. Based on our knowledge, the U.S. company Flextronics, they have been holding goods from Huawei with the worth of $700 million US. Do you think their actions has already made them qualified to be listed on the unreliable entity list? Regarding the question, we have no substantial knowledge about this issue, so there's no further comments. And regarding the entity list, will be released to the public soon. So if there's no more questions, then that shall conclude today's press conference. Thank you very much.